Good morning, ladies. Welcome to the latest Libertas sew along. We're going to start with the reverse applique. Now, I'm not going to do each of the reverse appliques in full for you, simply because they take ages and you will all be asleep by the time we get down to if I do the whole thing for all of them. So I'm going to do part of each one to show you how to do it, and then when we get to the point where they all have the same technique, I'll just do one of them and you can just follow whichever design you're using. This design, the Asclepius design, uses a slightly different technique because it uses reverse applique and decorative stitching. So I'm going to do this one first and then we'll move on to the others. So I have my exterior front panel and I'm using what I would call a medium weight faux leather. It's not that really thick, heavy like the Chieftain or the Panzer or the marine vinyls. It's a softer, slightly more flexible, but it doesn't have a lot of stretch to it, and that's what you need. You need something that's relatively sort of a medium weight, but without too much stretch, because the more stretch you have, the more problems you're going to have when you do your applique. So this is sort of slightly textured because I like a bit of texture. Now, in this instance, for this design, we are going to attach our template to the wrong side. So the wrong side of our faux leather. For both of the other designs, we are attaching to the right side. So be aware that we're attaching this one to the wrong side. So we're just going to make a few markings on the back of our panel. And I'm going to mark a line that is 1 inch from the bottom wrong edge. And then I'm going to mark another line, better if I use the right end of the ruler, that is 6 1/4 inches in from the side edge, which gives you your central mark, because this is 12.5 inches across. So what you end up with is that. Now your template has a cut line across the bottom, and if you need to just trim that off, you can do it with a pair of scissors or a rotary cutter. It makes no odds really at all. And you'll notice that there is although it's quite faint, there is a dotted line centrally down the design, which just allows you to be able to centralize your design on your faux leather and make sure it's straight, because a wonky design will look awful. So we're going to position our template on that 1 inch line, ensuring that the center line is on that center line that we've just made. And we're going to use a bit of decorator's tape, masking tape, painter's tape, depends where in the world you are as to what you call it, but the sort of stuff that is like a paper tape that is easy to remove, and it's not a sort of a permanent feature. If you're not feeling overconfident about this, you can actually use a little tiny bit of temporary spray adhesive on the back of the template to stick this down if you feel that you need to. That's perfectly fine. It just makes it a tad more difficult to get the template off after you've done your cutting and what have you, if you use the temporary adhesive. But actually, if bits of it stay on, it doesn't really matter. That's not the end of the world. Now, because we're going to do some decorative stitching, what you need to do is make sure that the thread in your bobbin is the thread that you want to be able to see on the right side of your work, because you're going to be working from this side at the moment, so working from the wrong side. So if you want red thread to show on the outside, then make sure you've got red thread in your bobbin. And what we're going to do is we are going to stitch all the way around the outside of this design, following the black edge there, going slowly, carefully, just all the way around the outside. We're not cutting anything, we're stitching at this point. Now when you start your stitching, start with a long thread. I'm just going to swivel the camera around for you. Start with a long thread at the top and the bottom. So I've got long threads top and bottom. My stitch length, and I'm using a Juki TL98P, is set at 3, so it should be about 3 millimeters long. I find that doing it with a stitch that's any longer, you don't get good curves. I actually can reduce that just a fraction if I want to, but you need to, if you keep a shorter stitch length, you get lovely curves in your stitching. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to raise my foot up, and I'm going to start right down here in this bottom corner. You can start wherever you want to, but that's a good place for me. I've got a size 14 needle and a Teflon foot on the machine, and I've raised my foot up, and I'm just literally going to drop my needle down so that it's going right into that bottom corner of the design. Once I've got the needle going down and I've got my long threads, I can lower my foot and I'm going to start stitching. Now I do tend to go quiet when I'm doing this because I'm concentrating, so don't think your sound has gone off on your computer. It probably hasn't. It's probably just me stopping so that I can concentrate. So I'm going to start stitching, and I do literally do this very, very slowly. Now I've got a knee lift on my machine, so you won't see me keep lifting the foot up. The foot will go up and down using my knee lift, but you'll probably notice that I'll do a couple of stitches, then I'll just lift the foot just enough to be able to manoeuvre the fabric and template underneath my foot so that I can get those nice curves. No, not quite there. Just need to do just that's it, that's better. This bit of stitching gives your whole design an outline. It gives it almost a frame. If you didn't want to do it, you actually don't have to, but I think the design looks a little, it doesn't feel complete without this extra stitching. I'm sorry, we've got car noise today because it's quite a warm day, so I've got my window open. It's either that or I'd end up having to take a lot of clothes off, and that would be very bad. Somebody once asked me if I do actually stitch normally as slowly as I do on the videos, and in some instances no, I don't normally, but in this instance I challenge any of you to be able to sew it any quicker, to be honest. These are complicated things to do, and if you rush them, you'll go off the line and it will show. Patience is everything. Practice, practice, practice. Patience, patience, patience. Slowly, slowly, keep control. And that's the trouble. Machines go quite fast these days, and it's really easy to lose control. And it only takes one stitch that's kind of additional to what you actually need. And you'll see that I'm just actually hand cranking around this top sort of little embellishment, just because it's a lot easier than trying to do one stitch. I can do one stitch at a time, but it makes my foot ache eventually doing one stitch. Look, I said I can do it just to prove I can. It's a really good exercise in controlling your machine. I know a lot of the new machines, the new Juki included, have speed control on them, so you can change them from 1600 stitches per minute down to about 800 stitches per minute, which is your average domestic machine, I think. But actually, if you take your foot off the pedal, you should be able to go really slowly. It's a bit like driving a car. You only go as fast as your foot goes on the accelerator, to be honest. So stitching slowly is a really good exercise in how to control your machine. I find a nice even thud, 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 thud is the easiest way to do it, rather than trying sort of going and then slowing down. I think it's easier to just get a nice sort of rhythm going. Those of you that are thinking, well, what's going to happen to the paper then? It will come off. And because you're stitching around the outside, it will be perforated, so it comes off quite easily. But actually, if you find it doesn't really matter. It's going to be not going to be visible from the outside of your work. Sometimes I get tiny little bits, not with this particular design, but in previous designs I've done, you get tiny little bits of paper that just get stuck in and you can't leave them, and you just think, oh, I'm just leaving it there. We're almost there. Going to go all the way along the bottom back to the point where we started. This is the straight line, so I can speed up a little bit. What I want to try and do is land my last stitch in the same hole as my first stitch was, so that what I end up with is an absolutely perfect continuous line of stitching, so there's no obvious sign where I start and finish. So I've done that. I'm now going to pull out my work, not cutting the threads. Cut the threads now. So what I've got now is 2 threads on the top and 2 threads on the bottom. So turn your work over. It's actually really difficult to see because it's quite a dark thread on a dark faux leather. But let me just grab a needle. On the right side of my work, I've got the 2 threads that were left along. And all I'm going to do is I'm going to use my self-threading needle. And those of you that know me know that I use these all the time. You can use any needle. Thread up both of those pieces and take them through from the front to the back. And you will end up with no visible sign where you started or finished your stitching on the front of your work. Then you can take the 2 threads from the back and 2 threads from the front, and tie them off. Believe me, by the time you finish doing this, you will be an expert at tying off. So I'm just going to do 3 or 4 knots, and then I'm just going to trim off. I leave about, I guess, about ½ an inch. It's not going to show, so it's not a big drama. Right, now I'm just going to swivel you around a little bit. And I've got my old chopping mat out. This is my, postman. This is my applique chopping mat. And I have my craft knife. I've put a nice new blade in that, so it's sharp and fresh. And all I'm going to do, and I do this by, I don't use a ruler or a straight edge, is I'm going to cut all of these white panels out of the design. So I'm just very carefully cutting them so I don't, you can see the paper's now come out. If I use the end of my craft knife, should be able to take those pieces out. You sometimes get a little tiny bit of a fibre where the fibre stuff is on the back of the faux leather, and I just use my snips to just take that out. So I've literally taken that first piece out. Now, don't throw those bits away. More will be revealed. And we're just gonna carefully remove each of those white pieces. Remember to try and use your craft knife so that it's coming towards you, not away from you. And I like to start at the bottom here and do this sort of bottom fan, and then I'll work through the others. If you're not methodical about it, you'll find that things get a bit stretchy. If you find that your blade is puckering up your paper, it's because it's not sharp enough. A new blade will not pucker the paper. A new blade will cut through exactly the same way as you can see mine is. It's just easing through without any bother at all. If you've got a decent blade in there, it shouldn't hurt your wrist. You don't have to put lots and lots of pressure on it. A lot of people say, well, this hurts my wrists doing this. It shouldn't do if you've got a decent craft knife with a decent sharp blade. So that's those 4 bottom ones cut. And I'm just now going to start at this end, and I'm going to work my way all the way around. And I'm not going to show you the entire thing because I think you'll just get bored silly. But carefully cutting, and I tend to do the long sides of the shapes first. And then the short ends. Remove the paper, use the blade of my knife to just remove the faux leather. And just keep going. I actually find it really difficult to talk while I'm doing this, just because it's something that I generally do. I can just get into the zone kind of thing, and you're just away with the fairies. A lot of people would say I'm away with the fairies a lot of the time, but so there we go. You can see how we're getting there when there's just gonna another 2. These little bits here that sort of the accent pieces, easy to cut. Just again, take the paper out. Use the tip of your knife to lift the faux leather out. You won't be stitching around these pieces because they are quite tiny, but actually they do give a nice little accent to the design. So take the paper out, use the tip of your knife to pull the other bits out. There we go, you can see where we're going. So I'm going to stop filming and I'm going to carry on cut this, but I'll come back and I'll show you the other designs because they're done in a slightly different way.